Hey, Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you today about the copy audit, or as I prefer to call it, a copy analysis. There's a couple of times when the audit or analysis really comes into play. And I know a lot of people had this as an offer, and it's a great offer. I don't know that clients always know that they need that offer, that they need, an audit or an analysis. I don't like to call it an audit because that has associations with some people for with taxes, which is never pleasant. An analysis works. And so there's a couple of situations. One situation is the very direct one. Someone comes to you and they say, hey, my website isn't working. Not that websites are the only thing you can analyze, but let's just take a look at that for the moment. It's not working. I don't know why. It's not, we want it to do X. We want it to generate leads. We want it to generate sales. We want it to generate inquiries. We want more people, going through our lead funnel, and they're not. And we don't know why. That's a straightforward request to take a look behind the scenes, what they're using, what people are responding to. Sometimes it's looking at in front of the scenes, frankly, meaning that you can just see right away why their copy isn't working for them. It can oftentimes be very, very obvious to you, but not to the client, not to the business owner themselves. So the other situation that I think can really benefit copywriters is when you're in a discovery call with a client and it's just not immediately clear what the solution is, right? So people come to you, they've got a business challenge. They're looking to you as the expert for a solution, but you don't quite know, and they don't quite know what they need to change or improve in order to get the results that they want. What that can look like sometimes, depending on what they've got going, it can look like, hey, send me over a couple of things and let me take a look at what you've got. That will help me to get a sense of what's needed here. Now, they could send you one or two documents, or they could send you, a drive folder full of so much stuff that your head spins. Now, when that's the case, that's when the audit/analysis is really, really helpful for you and for the client. Because here's the thing, until you get into all of the assets, until you look at everything, it's really hard to say what they need. It can be done because you can see some of the things that they need, but not all. And so you can go one or two ways. You can say, okay, let's, just go with what we have and we create a scope, knowing that you might get yourself in a bit of hot water because it might not be correct. Depending on the client, that might be okay and it might not, depending on how well you know them, how locked in to working with you they are. The thing that I always do in that situation is say, this is where an analysis of your website would just be super helpful. What we need to do is look at, your various pages, what they're doing, what customer journey you want to be taking people on, what customer journey is actually happening, how are people using your site, what are they doing. I had an instance of this last year where I did a pretty in-depth analysis for a marketing company in the UK. It was relatively easy for me once I understood their offers to see where their copy didn't work. Because as a copywriter, there's some copy principles that are very clear to me that aren't in play. And I'm like, no, here. And it wasn't deliberate on their part. That's what they had out there. They wanted to improve it. And so what the analysis told them is, exactly what needed to be improved and why. So, you can look at a hero section and you can say, hey, look, this is what a hero section needs to do. It needs to capture their attention and interest within the first 3 seconds through their lens or filter. So in other words, it has to be about the person visiting. You want your visitor within a moment of reading that headline to go, yes, connect. Oh, that's me. Okay. You get that nod of understanding, because that nod of understanding translates to you understand me. Hence, your solution to my problem might be valid. And so it was very easy for me to see all down the page what they were doing. They were talking a lot about features and not benefits. They were talking in industry lingo that wasn't necessarily customer friendly. And there were a lot of things that I was able to help them with. And especially if inside that analysis, you give them the reasons why. Okay, so what are the crossheads supposed to do? Like, for example, crossheads should tell the story through the page, right? I should be able to read the crossheads and get the essence of the story. Because the truth is, when someone's reading a page, we don't really care where they get in. We just care that they get in. So if you're reading down and suddenly this thing appeals to you and you start to read, chances are you'll read this too. And so you want to, the page needs to be carefully constructed so that it connects. Because, we all do it. We scroll. How long is this page? What's at the bottom? You eyeball it, but as you're scrolling, you catch those things, and there's a very good chance something you'll catch something that will bring the reader into the copy. About pages that are ego fests, not intentionally. I mean, someone who is not in a copywriter or a marketer may not realize that an about page should be about what you, as the business or service provider or whatever it is that you do, can help them and help them solve their challenges in the context of who you are, of course, because it gives a little insight into who you are and how you operate. So things like that, service pages that are really unclear as to the benefits, or in some cases, and this always surprises me, what the next actions to take are. People will not have a proper CTA. And what happens sometimes too is people add new pages, they fix old pages, and they lose the synergy and they lose the flow, and it gets big enough and messy enough that they just don't know what's going on anymore. The other thing that you can audit or analyze are all the assets they have. So I did a lot of work in lead gen funnels. And lead gen funnel is, it's always pretty much the same structure. There's some way that they're getting in, either an ad or an email list that's bringing them to, that's offering some free piece of content. They click then on a landing page that, sells the free content. And then there's an email series, at the back of that offer, right? They opt in, they want the thing. Now they get a series of emails. Well, some companies just have a lot of assets. They've created a lot of content, and there's a lot of stuff that can be repurposed for these kinds of offers, but you need to look at what they have. Like, so in my case, if I was creating a lead gen funnel and I'd get to know the company a little bit and I'd be like, what's going to most intrigue the audience for this offer? How can, what should we use? I might think of a thing, but it may be that they already have 10 things that they could use. And so if that's the case, and I'll say, I'll do an asset analysis. Let me read them over. Let me see if they're still relevant, or if they're relevant for what we're trying to accomplish right now. And that's a place where, when you're in that discovery call phase, and as I said in the beginning, when it's unclear exactly what it is and how you should scope, it's usually this as the solution. I mean, it could be that the client is just completely messed up. They don't know what they're doing and they're just not a great client. But more often than not, it's just the situation of, having been in business for years, having gathered a lot of things, you cobble together your back end, and suddenly, you realize you're not delivering the best experience, or your experience isn't exactly lining up with current offerings. And so if you offer the analysis audit, in a way, what you come up with at the end of that is the scope of work, right? Because these are the things that now need to be done. We see that, that the page needs to be, maybe both of these pages need to be rewritten. Maybe we need a new lead magnet because we're trying to now sell a new service, and all of the old pieces speak about previous services, things like that. And it can be really helpful too, even for customers, to have their assets categorized. I mean, you come up with a spreadsheet and what each thing does, and now they actually have a library of their assets. Some people will have that, but those are probably not the people that you would get into this situation with. Some people offer this as a particular service or offer on their site. I didn't have that on my site, and so that would be something that would come up during the discovery call, or sometimes after, like, the discovery call would result in me saying, well, send me over X, Y, and Z, and let me just, take a cursory look and see, what sense I can make of this. And very often in 15 or 20 minutes, I can get a sense of what they've got. Now, it might be that I've gotten a sense of what they got and what they've got, and now I need a day or two to actually analyze it and look at it and report on it. Or, it might be that, the brief looking over I did, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, tells me, hey, we have everything we need, and I can create a scope for them, where we'll use this piece and maybe we're just going to, change it slightly. But it gives me a sense of what they actually need, and I can do a better job for them. And, getting paid to do that, the research and the analysis, is much better than, just taking it on, finding out that it's hours long before you've even scoped the project, right? You're doing work for free, and you never want to do that. It's not a good idea. It's not sound business. And so when you run into these situations, consider that the analysis is a really, really valuable piece for the client, because, they don't see it in black and white either, right? They come to you with a problem. They don't know the solution. But when you start seeing, what's actually going on and what they've got, and you start to get a sense and you can explain it to them, it all becomes very clear, and it becomes simpler to make a process or a scope to fix it. So I hope this helps you to know, when that's a good thing to offer and how it benefits you and how it benefits your client. If you have any questions about it, like pricing, timing, any of those details, pop them below. I'll take a look and answer. If you want to be notified when these videos drop, if you click the bell, you will be, and I will catch you next time.